Hello and welcome to Cecil.tv, Cecil Weekly. I'm your host, Rob Churnside. We're 1 mere week away from Christmas, and probably you could check the website of each and every town in Cecil County and find out exactly what's going on. There are lots of things going on. Get your cookies baked, get your presents wrapped, and very important though, December the 21st at the Help Center in Elkton, there will be a food distribution event from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. That means they're going to be closed prior to that event. So, hungry folks out there, and we do have hungry folks in the county, the 21st, Thursday at the Help Center, 11 to 2. And now, our guest tonight, Jack Foreaker, Cecil County's Renaissance man. Welcome, Jack, to Cecil.tv.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great. I know you're booked years in advance with various things. You're busy with wearing so many hats and doing so many things so well.
Thank you. I try.
Some of it's effortless.
Yeah.
And we probably should break down our conversations. I know you work in recovery. You manage the Haven House. You're one of the pioneers of local television, and we're happy to have you at Cecil.tv, Cecil Weekly, to share maybe some of your trade secrets with us. And you're probably most known worldwide as a puppeteer. Let's talk first and foremost, I guess, about perhaps the most important thing to a lot of people out there, your efforts in recovery.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm in recovery myself. I've been in recovery now for almost 37 years. And shortly after I got myself straightened out, I started to volunteer at the health department. And that led to volunteering at Haven House. And so I started volunteering there in 1981, and I was hired in 1984 as a counselor. I was the first counselor hired at a halfway house in the state of Maryland. And so we were the first halfway house to have treatment at the house. The treatment back then was you went to the health department for an hour a week, and that was your treatment. Well, now, when I came in, we had treatment round the clock. And so now every halfway house in the state of Maryland has treatment. But we were the pioneers with that. We're the oldest halfway house in the state of Maryland. They incorporated in 1970, and we moved to our current location in 1998, which is down on 213, just past the Loki Center.
Right, and it's halfway between Elkton and Chesapeake City, but that's not what halfway house is all about.
No,
what does that really mean?
Halfway houses there's different things in Maryland. Maryland has halfway houses and sober houses and recovery houses. A halfway house in Maryland is actually a certified level of treatment. We run under what's called ASAM criteria, which is the American Society of Addiction Medicine. So we have very strict COMAR regulations through the state, and we have to provide a minimum amount of hours of treatment a week, and the staff has to be certified. Menus have to be approved by a dietitian, so it's a lot different than a recovery house, which is just a sober environment.
Right.
But there may or there may not be treatment involved in that. They don't do treatment at a recovery house, but some recovery houses require people to be involved in an outpatient program. But ours is all done right on location. It's a one-stop shop. You get your meals, you get your treatment. We're a work-oriented program, and they're many and varied in the state. Some halfway houses do not want you to work while you're there. We want you to work day 2 that you're there if it's possible, and start saving money. Your goal when you hit my halfway house is to get out of my halfway house.
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah. So it's very holistic, I guess.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And the person is halfway between their previous addiction life and a clean and sober life.
You're changing the brain from an addictive brain to a recovery brain, which is a long process. So our program is 9 months. If you do the whole program, it's a 9-month program. But we ask you to at least commit to the first 90 days and see how it goes from there.
So if we shift gears a little bit, Jack, I know you do, with your puppets, you're world renowned for your work with the puppets, and I'm sure we can talk a little bit about that soon. But don't you do a recovery puppet show?
Yeah, we do. I started doing a recovery puppet show, 1985. I was working with a convention, an AA convention in Hagerstown. And they asked me if I could come up with something that was recovery oriented. So there's some characters in some of the literature that are copyrighted by Alcoholics Anonymous. So I got a hold of their World Service office in New York and explained the idea to them, and they gave me permission to build these characters into puppets.
Oh, great.
So we did a whole history of they have a magazine called The Grapevine. So we did a history of that with a character named Victor E. And they have tapes of it in New York, and we've had pictures taken and all kinds of stuff with that. But then that has evolved into it's about an hour and a half show on recovery. That's all based on 12-step recovery. And we've gone all over the country with it. We've been to Vegas and Niagara Falls and Houston, Texas, and all over the state of Pennsylvania and New Jersey and up into New York. And so it's amazing, you know, where this stuff, I mean, without advertising, it's just word of mouth. And it's amazing where it all takes you and the people you get to meet. And
yeah, and help.
It's fascinating, but it's a lot of fun. You know, it really is. It's a very interactive show working with an audience. It's not just me up there doing stuff.
Right.
The audience is involved in it, and in fact, we're going to do a part of it on New Year's Eve for an AA group in Newark, Delaware, at Westminster House in Newark. They're having a New Year's Eve party up there, and I'm going to do part of the performance for them.
If you're out there in Newark, or even close to Newark, Westminster House,
Yep.
Newark, Delaware. That's right on
Westminster.
273.
Right there, in between the Presbyterian Church and the Newark Country Club. I think it's actually run by the Presbyterian Church as part of their community resources. I'm not positive on it, but I think it is. And then they're going to hold the New Year's Eve dance in the hall behind the church.
Nice, that'll be nice. Now, Jack, let me ask, did you bring any puppets tonight?
We brought a whole trunk load of stuff. They're Christmas ones. Well, I'm into Christmas right now, so you can only get one show in the van at Christmas time, and that's Christmas. So.
And that's the Christmas show at the Senior Center, right?
That'll be the one we got snowed out last week, so we've rescheduled to Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 20th. And we'll be up at the Senior Center. We do it every year up there. I've been doing it up there for years
Great.
for them. So yeah, we'll be there.
Well, let's meet the puppet show.
Okay.
Great. We love music at Cecil.tv. We were at the Punk Rock Flea Market, heard some music and got a lot of good stuff, and checked that out this past weekend at that performance place. Rob Churnside, Cecil.tv at the Punk Rock Flea Market at that performance place. How did you ever get this idea, Melissa?
I've actually been to a few different punk rock flea markets around the East Coast. I went to one in Lancaster, and there was one in Wilmington at 1984. It's a barcade over there. And so they're kind of around, and I really just like the idea of having unique vendors, but also having music, because we're all about the music.
I'll tell you what, and the prices are great for the punk pocketbook too. I already got some Christmas shopping done.
Yeah, I intend to finish all my Christmas shopping today. It'd be
Great.
really nice to avoid them all.
And you did some great singing too.
Thank you.
And we're here with the headline act at the Punk Rock Flea Market, the Bomb Shelter Dropouts. I'm going to have these guys introduce themselves and tell you about their instruments.
I'm Justin, I play drums.
I'm Kyle, I sing and play guitar. I'm Sean, I play bass.
And I'm Ginger and I play guitar.
So you guys are going to rip it up today, right?
Yeah.
Why do you guys like punk music?
Oh, because, I mean, it's free expression, man, and you don't gotta be too good at it. 4 chords and slam it down.
All right. Rock on, dudes. Now we're here with Amber, one of the many vendors here from Cecil County, correct? How did you get involved in this punk rock?
Well, I absolutely love music. I heard it through a couple of friends, and they said you should definitely try it out, and I was like, cool.
And yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
And all this art, you created a lot of this artwork.
Yes, every single thing here is all mine. From the walls, to this table, to that table where it has all the jewelry, and across the way is more artwork.
Wow, so this is a full-time gig for you.
Yes, it is.
Wow. Well, it's great that you took the time to talk to Cecil.tv because I know you're busy today, and good luck with your vending and great place to do some holiday shopping.
Thank you.
It's not too late to rip it with the good. Thank you guys.
Lights, camera, action. We're back with Jack. Merry Christmas, everybody. And don't forget, Jack is with the pack. You have several puppets with you here tonight.
Oh
right?
yeah, we brought a pile of them over here on the floor to show you.
And you're known all over the world, as we were talking about, for your work with puppets. You worked with the Muppets, correct?
Worked with the Muppets in New York. I met Jim Henson back in 1969. I had a chance to go to New York City to audition for Bill Baird's Marionettes. And we were up there, and we stayed. My director in college at that time had a friend named Maxine Marks. So we went up to stay at Maxine Marks's apartment, and she got me a referral with an audition with Bill Baird's Marionette. Well, what I didn't know, Maxine Marks was Chico Marks' daughter of the Marx Brothers. So I had all the hats and horns all weekend. It was great. But anyway, I don't do marionettes. But Sesame Street was just starting, I remembered when they first started on WTTG in Washington, D.C. when Jim was in University of Maryland. So that's who I always wanted to work with. So coming up from the Village, I decided to call Henson Associates. So I did. I got him on the phone, got the secretary. I said, I'm only in town 2 days. I'd like to meet Jim Henson. And she said, just a second. And she put him on the phone, and that's how I met Jim Henson. And he invited me over the next day, and I spent 4 hours with him. And then I went up and we sent videotapes back and forth. I got lucky and got to do some stuff for public broadcasting in Maryland, and did a couple of national commercials for them for Hodgepodge Lodge, which was on then. But we did a lot of stuff with a show called Consumer Survival Kit. And we built puppets that we had talking shoes, and we had dogs. We had a singing toilet that was on one of the shows that won a local Emmy with Rita Moreno. And anyway.
Do you still have the singing toilet?
Oh yes, have the singing toilet, some of the talking shoes. One of the dogs, I think I still have one dog left. They wear out eventually because you use them all the time. But I sent him videotapes. He always said, send me the tapes and we'll show you how to improve them. And he was great at that. I mean, he never said anything was bad. He would always tell you how to improve things. But then in '81, I went up. They were clearing out all the files for any resumes that they had on file. And they narrowed it down to 2 people. There was me and 1 person left. So then we got to work with the creative staff of Sesame Street and stuff for a couple of weeks. Nice. And then in '83, they invited me up to audition for the film. And basically, they already knew they were going to hire me, but they had to go through it because of Screen Actors Guild stuff. But anyway, then
now,
it got
what film was that?
The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Okay, yeah.
So I did all.
Big film.
We were hired as what they called special abilities extras. So we did all the close-up work in Miss Piggy's wedding. So it was about 2.5 weeks, and it lasted about, well, it's 2.5 weeks of filming. It lasts maybe 20 seconds on the screen.
Right.
But it was fun. You got to work with the staff, and it was done out on Long Island. In fact, one of the people that used to work for the unemployment office here in Elkton was a stunt driver. And he did the stunt driving, and then there was a young lady that did roller skating from Salisbury, and she was Miss Piggy. They dressed her all up, and she did the roller skating through the park. So there was a lot of people in Maryland that was involved in that film.
So how many puppets do you currently have?
Probably about 75.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They get cannibalized and put back together and reworked, but out of all of them, there's probably a base of about 10 to 14 that I really use all the time. For different shows.
Maybe we could meet some tonight?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll bring you some of the creative ones. This is Maynard. Maynard was, I found a CD at Goodwill that had the song Carol of the Bells on it, and kind of a jazz beatnik type beat. So there was a part of the song where it just sounded like there ought to be one bell ringing. And I got the idea of having a bell choir, but only having one bell. So right. Maynard is the bell choir, and he plays the one bell in the show with Carol of the Bells, but that's all Maynard does. He doesn't...
He's a swinging hepcat.
Thank you.
Very beat.
And we don't do ventriloquism, because that was the other thing I learned with the Muppets. They didn't do ventriloquism because it's constricting. Now, some of the people out there are excellent at it, but most people, it's just a very constricting voice, so... They wanted to have more variety in the voices, so that's why they didn't do the ventriloquism. Sure, so they either work live with head mics or they pre-record, and That's that one. Then I found a song, or I found a Night Before Christmas that's done to a beat of a music. So I took the thing that you use to grab stuff off the shelf, one of those grabbers.
Yeah, right.
And we put him on here, and this is my wrapping paper that does rap numbers for you.
Of course he would.
It gets a nice groan in this show, which is what it's meant to be. And then you just come up with creative. I had done a Halloween show where I took a witch's hat, and there was a magic trick that I do, and I'm always looking for somebody to help me with the magic trick. So I took a witch's hat and I bent it, and by doing that, it made it into a puppet. So I put eyes on it. So it did the song "Searchin'," the old song "Searchin'." Anyway, so I did the same thing with a Christmas hat and made a Santa Claus. So this is just a Christmas hat. There's 2 Christmas hats on it, and the rest of it's just an outfit and shoes from Goodwill.
Goodwill. Where would we be with that Goodwill?
Goodwill's the greatest thing in the world for props, and he does Crazy Santa Claus in the show. We get a little kid that plays. We hand out a fake guitar, and they play the guitar, and he does. And then there's a whole bunch of choir puppets that jump up behind him and sing.
I know you did. That guy's great. Very festive.
Yeah, he moves around. You want stuff that moves, especially with kids. You want to. That was the other thing I learned with Sesame Street is you never have anything more than 3 minutes long.
Right.
And it's over here this 3 minutes, over here this 3 minutes. It's fast this 3 minutes. It's slow this, and that keeps the attention. And then they also taught me to, when you do these things, to try to design it so that all the material has double meanings, because the adults have to sit through the show with the kids.
Right.
So if you can make it entertaining for the adults as well as the kids, it's a blessing.
And kids, if you've never seen Jack's shows, he did Halloween in Elkton. I know. I was.
Oh
there
yeah, we do
down
Halloween
the
up there.
But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. You do get the kids involved. Now, who's this guy? The Grinch?
This is Phineas. This is my frog. And I was coming home from a show one night, driving down I-95 from Philadelphia, listening to Prairie Home Companion. I don't know if you've ever heard Prairie Home Companion with Garrison Keillor. And Chet Atkins was on there singing a song called Frog Kissin' that Chet Atkins and Ray Stevens had written. And I immediately got the idea of doing a duet with this frog on this song called Frog Kissin'. So I got home and I wrote a letter to Garrison Keillor, and I forgot about it, never thought about it. And about 8 or 9 months later, I get this huge envelope from the Minnesota Public Broadcasting people. And it was from his secretary. She said that my letter had floated to the top of the desk and that they didn't normally do it, but she said the idea was so intriguing they couldn't help it. They sent me the sheet music, they sent me the copyrights, they sent me a cassette tape from the show of Chet Atkins singing it. And then, so I recorded the thing and we put it into the show. It's a cute little number called Frog Kissin'.
That's
and
great.
Then I finally put it on a CD when I did a children's album. So when I was in New York a few years ago, I met Garrison Keillor up there when he was doing this radio show, and I gave him a copy of it. And I said, "Here, this is your fault." So, but so this is Phineas. But he's in all my shows. He does the Christmas show.
And that's a special Christmas hat.
Yeah, he does. Well, this is for a dog actually, but it fits on the puppet. So anyway, you're always looking for something different to dress them in. So that's Phineas. And then we have a whole mess of other ones too, but we use. So we do kids shows and senior shows and adult shows and.
Adult shows. I was at a birthday party one time with the adult show. Now, you don't want to bring the kids to the adult show.
Don't bring you have to have a note from your mother for that one. But
that's right.
That one went all over the country. I opened for Gallagher one night at Smashing Watermelons, and he immediately booked me, and I went on tour with him for a year, all over the United States, smashing watermelons. I wrote some material for him, and that was a fun time.
Well, you know what? That was then, and this is now.
Yep.
And we've all come a long way. A lot of history there, Jack.
Yep, still working, still
well,
upright.
Keep at it.
Yeah,
thank you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
We hope to have you back again.
Anytime.
And now we're lucky enough to have in the studio tonight Angelo Martinez from Wayfarer.
How you doing, Bob?
Welcome. Wayfarer, I'm looking at your card here. You say it's a collective. Explain that to me.
Okay, well, basically the idea is I came with the idea to have a project where we could try to challenge the boundaries of what it means to be in a band in more modern times.
Right.
In older American times, there was jam bands a lot, folk style music, you know, mountain jam bands, where people with all kinds of different instruments would come and go, not always be members of the band necessarily. And so that was the idea with the Wayfarer Acoustic Collective, was to kind of push those lines, you know, and invite any kind of musician to come to play, write songs, be as much of a part of it as they want to.
Right.
Basically.
So you have a core of people, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the band could expand to quite a few people.
Oh yeah, yeah. Depending on the type of venue we'd be at, or you know, if we're at a music festival where they do street performance, stuff like that. I've had people come up, just jam out on everything from banjos and fiddles and washboards, and then, you know, roll out when the session's done and never see them again.
Right.
Or sometimes connect and network, you know.
So you sing and play guitar.
Yes.
And you've had various people come up and play. Could be anything. Like, what are some of the instruments that people come up and play with you? You said banjos.
Yeah, banjo. I've had female fiddle players. Went down before to Asheville, and I was actually by myself. Went with some friends on a little road trip down there. Wanted to hit the open mic circuit, and in between the couple of days we were down there doing the open mics, I was like, you know what, we'll try our luck right on the street, because there was a lot of street performers down in that area, Asheville, North Carolina. It's big down there. And I'd be sitting there playing on my little spot. Next thing I know, an entire band shows up, circled around me.
Cool.
Picks it up, starts jamming some of the songs, and then we all go our separate way, you know. So
that's a very hip and progressive town, that Asheville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
So speaking of hip and progressive towns, you're in Port Deposit at Granite Run Tap Room?
Yes, actually. Some of the contributing members of the collective will be there live January 12th.
January 12th. That's
Friday. Yep.
Friday, January 12th. In scenic downtown Port Deposit.
Yep.
The epicenter of hip.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. 21904. All that and more.
Oh, it's got a lot of history, too, actually.
So how did you get started, Angelo, playing music? Was guitar your first instrument, or?
Yeah, for the most part. I was probably about 12 years old. My father had found in a dumpster an old semi-hollow body Framus guitar when I was really young, and I had it just sitting around in the closet or in the corner collecting cobwebs for years. And finally one summer, my mom and my stepdad decided they'd surprise me for a birthday and get it completely redone, refurbished, and, you know, presented it to me. I was like, well, now I might as well start trying to take it seriously, see what I can do, you know. But I was always influenced and always kind of had rhythm and enjoyed music anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so you mentioned summer. You're pretty busy during the summer. You have time to play music though, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Last summer, stepped back a little bit, took a little bit of a break locally. Wanted to give a little bit more time helping a buddy of mine out that recently bought the business that I've been working for a long time.
Right.
So I wanted to help him get everything going good with that.
And I don't mind saying that business because I love eating there. Captain Chris's Crab Shack
Yep.
on Turkey Point Road. And this is the man that developed a secret recipe for the shrimp and onions and peppers. I can't wait for you guys to open.
I had help, but we're definitely doing for our all-you-can-eat crabs locally. That's for sure.
You go A-U-C-E or A-Y-C-E?
A-Y-C-E.
A-Y-C-E. So you can't get enough of those crabs, and I'm sure people can't get enough of your music. Do you have CDs out, or you have a heavy schedule?
In the past, some other projects that I have done, there is recorded music out there. Wayfarer, we haven't really been able to get into the studio yet. We started hitting the bar circuit to feel it out, you know, get our feelers out there, try to get a little bit of a reputation for ourselves locally, and that's why we kind of mix it up. We do covers, but we do have originals as well. We definitely would not mind getting into the studio sometime soon, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely think the guys that I'm with now, we're nice and tight, we get along, you know. The writing process would definitely be a lot of fun. So I wouldn't mind doing that at all.
Sounds like a good plan.
We do have videos. You can find us every once in a while online, the occasional YouTube video or Facebook post from live performances and whatnot.
And that's, people would go to facebook.com Wayfarer Acoustic?
Yep,
There you go. I said it.
that's us.
How about that? Well, we're looking forward to having you play some music. Anything else you wanted to talk about before you play?
Not much. Just come if you're interested. Come check us out. January 12th, we'll be at Granite Run Tap Room. I'm gonna take it over.
Sounds great.
Have a good time.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me, Bob. Good evening. My name is Angelo Martinez from the Wayfarer Acoustic Collective. You're watching Cecil TV. I'm gonna play a couple songs for you. Girl who walks alone in the pouring rain. Though her face is dressed with a smile, it's held on with some strain. She can't help but wonder how long she can live like this. And I can't help but know that I could ease her pain. I could ease her pain. And now I can see I'm piecing it all together. And as it seems, we are all forever in a dream. I'm piecing it all together. And now I see. All dressed in black, walking all alone. He wonders to himself just how he has got so far. I look to him and I say, man, there's so much more to life than this. He looks around and he shrugs aside, and he says, ignorance is bliss. Yeah. His ignorance is bliss. Now I can see, piecing it all together. And as it seems, we are all forever in a dream. I'm piecing it all together. Now I see. Now I can see. I'm piecing it all together. And as it seems, we are all forever in a dream. I'm piecing it all together. And now I see. That song was called In a Dream. And one more track for you guys tonight. It's also an original. It's a little bit more upbeat, bluegrassy, folky meets kind of punk, I guess you could say. This song's called Water Under the Bridge. There's no need to judge. Some of us forget that's where the flowers grow. After all, it's all water under the bridge. Yeah, we all put in work. That's just how it goes. Some of us regret the past, words unspoken. But after all, it's all water under the bridge. And so with this song, we'll set the past on fire. And so with this song, we'll build the funeral pyres. After all, it's all water under the bridge. It's all water under